Jordan.tv.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to create a nulls issue from scratch. We'll start off from the splash page, familiar looking splash page. When you roll over the logo, you click into the main nulls environment. Today I'm going to talk about the latest issue because that's the one that's most fresh in my mind. So we roll down to the navigation at the bottom, roll over issue 13, load it up. It's very loud. I'll just turn the volume down. Just so you can get familiar with the issue if you haven't already seen it. Just click here. You can see Johnny John interacts with this vending machine that comes to life. All of those images are rollover images that have to be imported in individually, which I'll show you how to do shortly. The main image that I'm going to talk about today is one that's just up here. It's slightly animated, as you can see. There's a little sleeper giant running across these floating buildings, which means the sleeper giant is a separate graphic, the buildings is a separate graphic, and then you've got this background image, which is a separate graphic. And then those little arrows there, if you hadn't noticed this, is a little rollover of what looks like a train coming out of the building. So this is the image that I'm going to use for the first example. Now I'll just turn the volume down a bit more. So I took some photos of my original sketches. Here we go. Here's the image that I just showed you in the Flash file. I've got some other images here, some other drawings I should say. I tend to draw all my pictures on brown scrolls. That way I can quickly just roll the scroll back and forth to check up on consistency, make sure things are looking the same in all the different frames and angles. So, and then I have to take these images into, scan these drawings into Photoshop, where I start applying the colors and separating the layers. As you can see in this drawing here, there's the background images, the background city with the train overlaid over the top, and down the bottom of the page here is the sleeper giants jumping across the buildings. So I then had to lay all that out in Photoshop, which I'll jump to now to show you what it looks like. Okay, so there's almost the finished product. I'll just click on the trains layer. So there's the finished product there. As you can see on the right in the layers, I've got them all divided. The sleepers has its own layer. With the buildings, the trains have its own layer. And then the background colors have their own layer. If I go into line art and just take off a few filters, we can see the original brown paper before anything's been done to it. The first thing that I do to it is turn it to grayscale, and then I change the brightness contrast, or I use exposure to do this, and then I start to apply the colors, which I do in my background layer. And yeah, that's a bit more complicated process, just sort of fiddling around seeing what looks good. And I also have the mode of when Harley's freaked onto his sleeper reel, and I have a look and feel for that, which is consistent throughout the story. This kind of cyan glow to it, and that applies to the sleeper giant as well. Sort of a bit of a digital fog going through the background there. And then if I drop down the sleeper folder, we can see all the separate layers here again. The sleepers themselves have their own separate layer, and the rest is the buildings. Again, the buildings have been turned to grayscale. If I take that off, you can see, oh, you cannot. Yeah, there's the original brown paper drawing of them. Okay. I might just stop the video there. because it's going to use up all the cache on my hard drive, and then I'll continue from this point with the second video.
Jawbone.tv